But welcome to this first webinar. It's something that we're experimenting with this group. I'm Leroy Hurt, and I'm the group administrator right now. And I want to give you a little bit of administration just to provide some information. I started the Facebook group so that we could generate some conversations about Nordic walking and connect people that range from beginners to seasoned instructors, and with the hope that people will connect with each other and also maybe find ways to get out and walk with each other, or at least find a group. And I wanted to make this also a good venue for instructors, because I've noticed that there are times when new Nordic walkers don't realize there's an instructor not far away. So it's a chance for the instructors to share as well in that.
Yeah, but in the States, they're few and far between.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's definitely not as extensive as what I've seen in places like the UK.
Yeah.
Where it almost seems like everybody Nordic walks. I don't know if that's true, but it sure looks like that on the internet.
I would love it if everyone Nordic walked.
But I'm going to try to do this on a regular basis. Invite some professionals, giving priority to people who are group members, just to share, tell us what they're doing, and give us a lesson for people who aren't as expert in Nordic walking. Give us something to take away. And I'm calling it Tour de Friends, and we want to try to get people to meet each other. Since we have a global membership, whenever I do these webinars, I'll try to schedule them for in different time zones. So if we do another one, I may not have a UK person. I may try to find somebody in Australia, that sort of thing, and just kind of bounce around the globe so that everybody gets an opportunity. And I'm recording this right now, so next week I'll share the recording, and I'll try to keep these at 30 minutes, so just to respect people's time. There are a lot of other things that we want to do. And what I'll do, let me post this link here. It is in chat. It is a survey. And if you feel like it, take the survey. And this is to give us some feedback on ways to make this a better experience. So without further ado, I am delighted to welcome Tracy Reeve, lead Nordic Walk instructor and business owner of Nordic Walking Watford. And she was kind enough earlier to share some information about her group as part of Tour de Friends that I posted on the blog. And I'll share the blog link there. And it's just telling us a bit about her group, and sharing some photos and all, and I'll do this for all the professionals who come on and do things. But she was kind enough to give us information, and so I asked her if she would be the guinea pig for kicking off these webinars, and she was kind enough to say yes. So, but first, Catherine, welcome. Glad you're here. And but let me turn this over now to Tracy, and I'll mute myself. And I want to welcome you, Tracy, and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leroy, for that introduction. It's lovely to meet you this evening. So Leroy has asked me to kind of run through how I got into Nordic walking, what I do with Nordic walking now, and then I'm going to be talking about improving your pace, just to finish, so just to give you some tips there. So I'll start with how I got into Nordic walking. So if we go back to 2014, I had 2 young children, and I just finished a couple of years of intensive treatment for breast cancer. And while I was left disease free, I was very much in a situation where I didn't have any energy. My fitness had completely depleted by the treatment that I'd had. And it also gave me a different focus. I knew that I wanted to make the most of every day, if that makes sense. I think when you've been through some kind of illness or treatment like that, it does change your focus. And I just wanted to be a better version of myself in a way. So I'd always enjoyed walking. I'd never really enjoyed the gym. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to spend a bit of time on myself, on my own health and well-being. And I found I wanted to look for a local walking group. And when I was looking for that, a Nordic Walking came up. So I looked at this a little bit more and decided, yeah, actually, I quite like the sound of that. So I did my course. I think it's really important, if you can, and I know that you struggle in the US with this, to find a good instructor, you know, someone that is fully trained, first aid trained, risk assesses everything, adequate insurance, etc., etc. And I'm fully behind that. I do appreciate it. It's not always easy, but certainly in the UK here, I think it's probably becoming possible now to find an instructor that's local to you. So that's a really important thing, I think. So I found a lovely instructor. We got on really well, and I started walking. And I literally did 1 walk a week with the group initially. And I started really small, and then gradually I did 2, and I did 3, and then I was asked to become a walk leader. So I did my training to become a walk leader, my first day training, my walk leader training, and then started leading my own groups, which was great because that gave me the commitment. You know, I had to be there for those people. So it kept me Nordic walking. And then I decided to train as an instructor because I wanted to share that knowledge and share that passion for Nordic walking, which I have. So within a year of starting Nordic Walking, I was an instructor, which is great. And I was an instructor working with the lady that ran Nordic Walking Watford for a couple of years. And then she moved away. So I had the opportunity to take on Nordic Walking Watford, which is what I did in April 2019. So just coming up for 2 years now, I've been running Nordic Walking Watford. So it's a growing group, which is fabulous. I've now got a team of 15 of us. So there's 15 walk leaders, 2 instructors. We offer a range of walks, and I've always wanted to offer something for everybody because people take up Nordic walking or walking for different reasons. So some people want to get super fit, some people want to do endurance walking, some people just want to go for a nice walk with their friends and have a coffee afterwards and make it very sociable. So I try with the programme that I offer at Nordic Walking Watford to offer something for everybody. So we have 3 different paces of walk. We have about 20 walks a week at the moment. Some are 2 miles, some are 16 miles. Most are around 3, 4, 5, 6, but we do offer, you know, other ends of that as well. I do some work with the local hospice as well, so I teach some of the users for the hospice care. We offer kind of nature walks, we do wine tastings and walks, we do trips away. We've started to do more challenges as well, so we maybe do half marathons. I do ultras myself, which more and more of my groups are interested in doing. So that's going to be our focus for this year, I think, is for those that want to really step up their Nordic walking and do some ultras with me, then that's what we'll be looking to do. And we have training programs for people that are interested in that. Obviously not everybody is, and that's absolutely fine. As I said, we try and offer something for everybody. So it is very much a growing group. We've obviously been in lockdown here in the UK for a big part of the last year. We're just coming out of lockdown now, so we're all really looking forward to getting back to our group walk. So most of what I've done over the last year is simply trying to keep my walkers motivated through virtual activities rather than actually being able to do our group activities. So that's a little bit about me, how I got into Nordic walking, and the group that I run. As I said, I've got a large team now, just a new instructor coming on board, which is brilliant, and hopefully the group will continue to grow. So, okay, so I was going to talk about how to improve your pace. Okay, so if we look at pace, there are actually 2 aspects to your pace. The first is your step rate, or cadence as it's called. So that's how many steps you do per minute. Okay, and we'll talk about that first. So if we're looking to increase our step rate, what I would advise is you download an app on your phone. I will try and show you mine. It just needs to be a simple metronome, which is something that's used for music, and I will try and get mine up to show you. There we go. So I just have a little app like this, which is a metronome app, okay? And what this does, if I set it going, I'm hoping you can hear that. Can you hear it? Yeah. So you've just got a beat going, okay? And what you need to do to start with is to just set that at something quite slow-ish. So I advise you to set it around 90 beats per minute and start walking. So this is really good if you're struggling with your momentum as well, or your synchronization, just to get into a regular step rhythm. Okay, so if you start about 90 beats per minute and then gradually increase to 100, 110, 120, and keep going up and see what's comfortable for you, and then try and push yourself that little bit further. Okay, so when you're on your walks, see what's comfortable for you, try and push it a little bit further each time. So we have 3 grades of walking, or 3 paces of walking at Nordic Walking Watford. They start at around 90 beats a minute for our kind of gentle well-being pace. Our moderate intermediate pace is somewhere around 110, 120 beats per minute. Our strenuous pace is around 130, 140 beats per minute. And then anything above that, and you're starting to get towards running pace. So running pace is about 170 beats per minute, okay? So you're starting to get really, really quite fast there. So that's the first aspect of pace, which is to work on your step rate, okay? So using the metronome, you can gradually increase your pace, all right? It's very easy to slot into walking at the same pace all the time, and this just helps you to push yourself that little bit further, okay? So that's the first aspect of increasing your pace, which is your cadence, okay? The second aspect is your stride length. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple of pictures hopefully here. I'm not marvellous with sharing my screen, but I'll have a go. Share screen. There we go. Desktop one. Right. Now, can you see that photograph? Yeah, lovely. Okay, so if you look at the lady in the red trousers, I'm just moving my cursor over her there. So she's got red trousers and a black jacket. Okay, with the lower levels of Nordic walking, you bring your hand forward with the pole, as she's done with her right hand, you can see. And then as you step through, your hand comes back to about your hip. So if you look at her left hand, it's at her hip. Okay, so with the lower levels of Nordic walking, when your hand comes back to your hip, your stride length is what your normal stride length would be. You don't make any changes to that at all. Okay, so in my organisation, we call that a gear 1 or gear 2 Nordic walk. I know there's different training across the world, but with my organisation, it's a kind of lower level Nordic walking, and it's called gear 1 or gear 2. I'm going to close that photograph and open the next one. Okay, so I think if you look at the lady in the pink here, her arm is a bit better placed. So if you look at her right arm, it's come right forward up to handshake height. And if you look at her left arm is now past her hip. Okay, so her arm has come past her hip and is heading backwards. Okay, so she's increased her arm swing. Now, if you increase your arm swing with Nordic walking, you have to increase your stride as well in order to keep up and get the right synchronization. Okay, so we call this a gear 3 in the UK and with the organisation that I use or that I'm under, and so that's a high intensity Nordic walking technique. So you're increasing your arm swing and you're increasing your stride length. Okay, so that's the other aspect of increasing pace, is increasing your stride length. So those 2 aspects are 2 things you can work on. You can work on them individually, put them together, and that's what's going to increase your pace with your Nordic walking. Okay. All right. So that's about all I wanted to say. I know Leroy's keen for you to be able to ask some questions. Unfortunately, we do have time for some questions. So I'm very happy to answer anything on what I've covered regarding pace or the groups that I run, or anything else on Nordic walking that you would like me to cover.
Do you think we have an automatic, and this could, anybody could, I guess, answer. Do you think we have an automatic pace that we sort of settle into if we're not thinking about it, and that moving at a higher, at a faster pace, you really have to be more conscious about doing it?
Yes, I agree. I think we do have a pace where we are comfortable, and I always, with my walkers, I generally like to make them a little bit uncomfortable, if that makes sense, without being mean. I want them in a walk. I want them to have some point in that walk where they have pushed themselves, so they've increased their heart rate, increased their breathing rate, they've stretched out their stride, or they've increased their arm swing. So if people walk with me, I would always try and get them to a point where they are doing a bit more than where they are comfortable. Okay. I like people to mix up their walks, I have to say. Although we offer 3 paces, I do encourage people, you know, to walk at different paces at different times, because I think you get something different from each walk. So I know that, you know, I always encourage my faster walkers, who normally walk at workout pace, to drop down to an adventure or even a well-being every so often, because it gives you the chance to work on your technique. The problem when you go faster is it's very easy for your technique to just disappear out the window, and that's something to be aware of, which is why I like to increase it gradually. So I actually do a specific walk and workshop on this specific thing of increasing pace, because I think if you just suddenly go for it, your technique is likely to suffer. So I always encourage people to mix it up. Okay, do a slow walk every now and again, just really focus on your pace, really focus on your nice straight arm with the movement coming from the shoulder, focus on your foot rolling. And then another time, really go for it, really step up that step rate and that stride length, and really get your cardiovascular system working. That was a very long answer to that question, Leroy, sorry. Any other questions on absolutely anything Nordic walking?
Tracy, I just wanted to apologise firstly for disappearing. My computer completely crashed. I've never had that.
Right.
So I missed a little bit, but it was really interesting, the bits I'd heard. Do you actually use a metronome when you're walking for gauging that time?
Not for most of my walks, no. I just run a specific session called Working Up to Workout, which is and that's where I cover this. So I do use a metronome for that, and I encourage people to go away and have a practice with a metronome. I think it's really good for getting synchronization. So if someone's struggling as well when they first learn the technique to stay in time, I think it's a really useful tool to have. But I do use it for this specific session. What I found with my walkers was that they had a mental block with improving pace. They didn't want to take that step from our intermediate walk up to a workout because they didn't think they'd be able to keep up, and I think that's very common, you know, with group walking, and we do make it actually very clear to walkers that our workout pace is workout, and we do expect, it's the one walk where we do expect them to go, you know, fast. With our well-being and adventure, we wait for the slowest, and that's absolutely fine, but with our workout we do want people to be able to work, you know, at that pace. So I set this session up to give people simply the confidence to do it, because I knew that they could, they just didn't have it in their own mind to think, yeah, I can. So this session was great for that, and it's really been successful to get people to just break down what makes up pace and think about it, and then to work on it a little bit. And, you know, they come back after this session 2 or 3 weeks later and they can join a workout walk, no problem at all. So.
I really liked what you said about getting people to try walking at different paces, even if they are fast walkers. As you know, and in the UK, a lot of paths and parks became very crowded. And some of my regular walkers contacted me. I was in touch all the time and said, I'm getting stuck behind people. What do I do? And actually, the key thing really was changing their mindset and saying, actually, you get a lot. You're a fast walker naturally, this one woman in particular. And I said, but you're slightly using your muscles in different ways when you walk slowly. And that in itself is really beneficial for you.
Yeah.
There's a brilliant American biomechanist called Katie Bowman who writes really well about walking, normal walking, not so much Nordic walking, but I've read some of her books and follow her on Facebook, I think, or Instagram, and she's got lots of gems of wisdom.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. Yeah, I think from a mental point of view as well, you get something different, don't you? And I do quite a bit of mindfulness with my walkers, and we do a special mindfulness walk. And I think really slowing down that pace and taking in your surroundings and looking at nature, you know, just gives you a different perspective as well. And that's, you know, I'm very keen to get the message across that mental health is equally as important as physical health, and Nordic walking can encompass all of that. You know, whatever pace you go, it really can, you know, encompass everything mental and physical health.
I put a link in chat. I think I found who Maria was referring to. Katie Bowman is a biomechanical scientist. So I put a link so that you can, whoever's interested can go look at it and then just start tracking down things that she's written.
Great, I'll have a look at that. Lovely. Any other questions? Do you want me to talk about polls or anything like that? I know that there's been quite a bit of discussion on the Facebook group, hasn't there, Leroy, about polls?
Yeah. Would that be of interest to you all?
Yeah. Okie dokie. So this is you're probably all familiar with what's called a traditional Nordic walking pole. So you have the strap which you put your hand into, and then do the strap up. So you've got the clip-in mechanism, so which is different to trekking poles. So I don't know if anyone is using trekking poles or trying to. You can, in the lower intensity gears, use a trekking pole kind of, but to work at a high intensity Nordic walking and to get the technique properly, you need to have a Nordic walking pole. So there's a couple of brands which I normally recommend for Nordic walking, Lecky and Gabel. My preference is Lecky, so that tends to be what I use. I prefer the shape of the hand grip with the Lecky pole over Gabel. But Gabel do some nice poles as well, and there's a mix among my walkers actually of what they use. We actually teach now on a strapless pole, which is a new change. So the strapless pole has like a core ledge which you rest your hand on, and we teach that way now because it's actually easier to feel the upper body work when you first start Nordic walking, and then we move people onto the strap poles, particularly when they want to go into gear 3 and go faster or go for longer distance. So I use quite a light pole. I use a carbon based pole because I do longer distance walking, so I like a nice light pole, and so the carbon pole is a little bit lighter than the aluminium one, and in terms of the adjustment, I prefer an extendable pole usually. So it has an adjustment mechanism just under the handle. These aren't an extendable pole, these are fully adjustable, but my normal poles have a 10 centimetre adjustment here just under the handle. So it means I've got some adjustment, but what that does is it reduces the vibration coming through the pole. So with these poles where they have an adjuster halfway along, I do get some vibration coming in through this pole. But with an extendable pole, I get less vibration. You get even less vibration with a fixed length pole. So you can buy some which you buy just according to one length. If you're a beginner, I would advise you not to buy a fixed length pole. And the simple reason is that as your technique improves, you very often need to increase the height of your pole a little bit as your posture improves and your arm swing gets better. So if you're new to it, I would advise buying against a fixed length pole, even though it is a cheaper option usually. Okay, so either buying it adjustable or extendable. And then you can get traveller poles which come in sort of 3-4 sections, and they just fold down quite small to go in your rucksack or whatever. So if you're into hill walking but you want to Nordic walk on some of it, then those are quite a good option, and I have a set of those as well which I use for my hill walking, just so that when I come to a section where I can't use poles anymore because it's too rocky, just fold them up and I pop them in my rucksack, and I can carry on using my hands if I want to. until I get to a section where I want to Nordic walk again, and then I can use my traveller poles. So there's quite a few different options. I would advise kind of spending as much as you're comfortable to spend on Nordic walking poles. I'm really keen that people are happy with the poles that they buy, because if they're not going to carry on Nordic walking. And ultimately, that's what I want people to do. I want people to carry on Nordic walking. So buy the best poles that you can afford, really. And over here in the UK, they range from anything for a decent set of poles around £50 right up to sort of 180. You don't need to spend 180 if you just as a regular Nordic walker. It's really not necessary, but I would advise spending sort of 50 or 60 pounds on a good set of Nordic walking poles, and you'll get something that's going to last you a long time, and you'll be happy with them. I don't know
what's your opinion of aluminum versus carbon?
As I said, I prefer carbon because I like the lightness for my longer distance walking. In terms of their durability, I think they're about the same. It's just whether you want that additional lightness. Most of my walkers actually walk with aluminium poles, and if you're doing a walk of an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, an aluminium pole is absolutely fine. Because I do endurance walking and I'm sometimes out for 20 hours, I want the lightest pole that I can get for that time. So carbon really does come into play then. But for most average Nordic walkers, aluminium's absolutely fine. Any other questions?
So can you recommend, and maybe you have some good videos or something to watch for those of us who live in areas without any instructors? I don't think there's any in Kansas yet. I have not asked because I'm not home, but
yeah.
Yeah, so because I mean, I'd like to do it, I just don't want to hurt myself.
Leroy, I don't know if you've got any access to it. I've done a few for my members, but I don't know.
The ones that I've found that are really clear, that is one that's put out by Sakana.
Oh.
Let me type this in the chat. It's put out by Sakana, and this Nordic walker, I think in France, collaborated with that group and created a series of Nordic walking videos, and they're pretty clear. The video quality is high, and it's really straightforward there. And you said you're in Kansas?
Yes.
Normally?
Yeah, I live in Topeka, Kansas.
All right. Well, I'll have to keep that in mind because we tend to drive through there in the summer.
Okay. Yeah. Please do.
So I'll try to remember that.
Yeah, that would be great. And I did think I would put something out. There's some Facebook groups like Topeka Experiences and stuff, and just see if anyone else is Nordic walking in the area when I get home.
Right. Or if you end up driving north from Orange Beach, stop off in Tuscaloosa, and we'll be there.
Might do that.
But yes, Sakana I found had some really clear videos.
Yeah, I've looked at a couple, I think, Leroy, and they are quite good quality. So yeah.
And that's only because we all haven't made our own videos,
really.
Right?
My groups have got me, so I don't need to make many videos. But I know you guys in the US, it's harder out there to find instructors by the sounds of it. So
I found a couple of really good videos, but I don't speak Italian or Czech or French.
Yeah, that's true. Getting the right language as well.
So it's kind of like just looking at the people, and I don't know, maybe I just simplify things a lot, but Nordic walking is walking. It's a little exaggerated, especially with the upper body, not so much with the lower body, but much more with the upper body. But it's really just a pure walking movement. So I think if people start with that, and I'm not an instructor, I have no intention of starting up a business right now. But you know, I think if people start with that realization that, okay, let's just walk. And I think you were doing it because, Larry, it was either you or somebody else was posting on the Facebook page about instructing some people and starting them off just walking without the poles.
Yeah, some
You know, and maybe just getting that exaggerated hand movement. And I've been kind of like practicing that. And what was bothering me is that I wasn't extending my arm far enough. And what I realized is that I was just keeping my arm really tight. I wasn't letting it go through a natural motion, so that the hand actually turned. You know, naturally, when you're standing up, your hand kind of turns out just naturally. And I wasn't letting it do that. And I finally figured that out. So it was kind of like, you know, just make the switch to relaxing a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's really helped me with that.
I think generally people these days, and I'll put myself in this category as well, before I started Nordic walking, we're actually really lazy walkers. We don't swing our arms, we don't push through that foot, we walk very flat-footedly. We kind of do this with our arms, really small movements. All Nordic walking does is take us back to how we should be walking and exaggerate those movements. So we have got a full arm swing, we have got a proper roll through the foot, which is what we should be doing. And actually, if you take your poles, don't clip yourself in, start Nordic walking. If you drop your poles as you're walking, you should just carry on, and it should look the same whether you've got poles or not. Technically, if the technique is correct, it should look exactly the same. So yeah.
Good. All right. Any last questions? We're kind of at time. I don't want to keep people here in front of their screens on a Saturday afternoon.
I'm happy to stay on if people do want to ask anything. So please don't be shy. You've got me here for the minute. So
Sure. And I will not shut this down until we know that everybody has left.
yeah, absolutely.
I just want to
Thank you so much.
Oh, go ahead.
That's okay, Linda. You're very welcome.
Thanks for dropping in, Linda.
I have a question.
Yes, Catherine.
I have been going about 6 months with this kind of pole.
Yeah.
I guess this is a trekking pole rather than a.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. It is a trekking pole. Okay.
What I've been doing is just trying all of the video suggestions with this kind. So
Yeah.
that this will not allow me to go at a fast pace, really?
No, it won't allow you to bring your hand past your hip, because when you bring your hand past your hip, you need to let go of the pole. So if you've got your fingers curled around the pole, as it comes past your hip, your hands need to do that, basically. Okay, so you need to release the pole. A trekking pole won't allow you to do that. So you can start kind of Nordic walking, but you won't really feel the upper body work that you do with one of these with a strapped pole, because when you're using a strapped pole, you're using the strap to push. You're not gripping the pole, which you need to do with your trekking poles. And once you release your hand so that it's just got a soft grip and push through the strap, that's when you feel the work in your upper body, in your chest, your abs, your back, and into your tricep muscles. Okay. So no, you won't be feeling what you need to feel with Nordic walking to get the full benefit of it. Okay, you're walking with poles, and that's great. That's a good first step. But in order to move on, then I would recommend that you use a strapped pole. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, Nordic walking poles are considerably lighter than trekking poles, aren't they? Trekking poles are quite heavy.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. You will notice the difference there. Yeah.
Good.
Thanks, Catherine. Any other questions?
So where's our first live meetup going to be?
I'd need to get on a plane, which I'm not going to be able to do for some time yet.
Yeah.
Well, what fascinates me is that what Inwa does have an annual conference.
Mm.
International Nordic Walking Federation does have an international conference, and I've seen some things in the UK. I think there's the one that got my attention was what I'm trying to remember that it starts with a P.
Herbeck.
Purbeck, yeah.
Yeah.
Sound like that looked like a big one. And,
yeah, so that's the umbrella organisation which I'm with, which is Nordic Walking UK, and they do an annual Nordic Walking Festival, basically. So it's a 3-day festival of everything Nordic walking, all sorts of walks, cream teas, you know, typical English. So yeah, that's quite a big affair. Obviously, it didn't happen last year, but we're hoping it will. Are you with Nordic Walking UK, Mary, or are you?
No, I'm British Nordic Walking, but a friend of mine who's trained with both, actually, she's doing a festival in Bristol at the end of this year, which is for all Nordic walkers. My podcast that I've just started is aimed at all Nordic walkers. I don't really like differentiate. There's a historic sort of disagreement between British Nordic Walking and Nordic Walking UK, which goes back to the people who first set it up in Britain. And I just slightly feel that we should all be a bit more grown up about things and all just work together and get the message out together, because that way we're going to all increase the number of people who join our groups and make it much more inclusive. And I know I've got a friend who's a Nordic Walking UK instructor, and she's starting work on a festival up in Cumbria, which is much.
Nikki.
Yeah.
So Nikki,
And so they're just different. They teach in a slightly different way as well.
Yes, I have done the British Nordic Walking instructor training as well. So I'm actually an instructor with both. I choose to kind of be under the umbrella of Nordic Walking UK and use their method of teaching, but having done both, I actually use aspects of both. So I agree, we should be working together. It's all about getting people Nordic walking. So
and I've been to the INWA festival. I went, the INWA conference. I went to Finland about 3 years ago, and it was quite interesting. I think they could have done it a lot better. Everybody there was an instructor, and they were trying to teach a couple of different ideas. So we had the odd session outside, and we did a nighttime walk, which was really fun. But some of the other lectures we had were sales pitches, and I was slightly, I thought it could have been done better.
Good. Yeah. All right. Well, we're definitely past time, so don't feel like you have to stay. If you know, I'll just keep this on until it's clear everybody has left. I see we have somebody joining us.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mary Ellen. And,
I'm just a lurker.
I'm sorry?
I'm just a lurker right now.
Oh, okay. But did in what you caught, Mary Ellen, did a question come up?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to have to go, but thank you very much. I think this is a brilliant idea. And thank you, Tracy. That was really. Thank you, Leroy, for all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Mary.
Thank you for dropping in.
Oh, pleasure, my friend. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
And Mary Ellen, are you a beginner?
No, I've been doing this a few years.
Okay.
I just like this. I live in Omaha, and I've seen 2 people in like 4 years with poles, I think. It's not real common, but I have a cousin who's in a group in Florida, and she's the one that got me into it, and I enjoy it a lot.
Okay.
I actually walk in snow quite a bit too with it, because we have a lot of snow. We don't now, but we did. And I just like it a lot. I've always been a big walker. Okay. I'm actually on a phone, so I'm only doing the audio.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I have a Target pickup at like 2 that I haven't gotten yet that I have to go get.
Where are you physically located?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, okay. All right.
Yeah. And we have some really good trails and places to go, and a beautiful gardens, Lauritsen Gardens, which is just an extraordinary place, and I go there. Because of COVID for the last year, it's been kind of limited because most of my walks have been with a double stroller.
Yeah.
Because I've been taking care of my 2 youngest grandchildren for their parents while they work in their home. So it's been a lot of stroller walking.
Yeah.
But I'm back at it, and I've been doing some. I've never abandoned it completely. I just have not been able to do as much this year. But I love it, and I'm a retired college professor, and I actually started doing this before I retired. And the campus was a really nice place to be able to do it too.
Yeah. Terrific. Well, we're glad you came and lurked a little bit.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of nice to see you because I read all your posts and everything.
Well, glad to meet you, and we'll try to do this periodically, maybe monthly or so, and a different Nordic walking professional will come on and share some. Tracy was kind enough to be our guinea pig, our first one, and so I was just really grateful for that.
I guess my biggest problem with it is I'm never sure when to change the tips on the poles, because like the baskets work kind of nice with snow. I mean, what I'm saying, no baskets, no tip works pretty nice with snow. But then like part of the time you're in snow, then part of the time you're on street or sidewalk. And I wonder if that's bad for the poles to do that, to walk without tips when I'm going onto the sidewalks and it's not all the same when I'm walking.
The actual spikes with the Nordic walking poles are usually tungsten, so they're very durable. I think we call the rubber. Do you mean the rubber thing that goes on the end? We call them paws over in England.
You call them what?
Paws.
Oh,
as in a dog's
I've heard them
paw.
called boots before too.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I very rarely use them actually.
Really?
It'll only be if I'm doing an awful lot of road walking that I'll put paws on, and it's simply because I don't get enough grip. I've got a very strong push back on the pole, so I haven't found a paw really yet to where I get the friction that I need to stop the pole slipping. So I actually will nearly always use my poles without the rubber paw on. And I've never had a problem with the tips wearing down. So you can get replacement ones usually. I know my Lecky poles, they do replacements, but I've never had to replace them. I call them paws, yeah. P-A-W-S, paws.
I have Keen Fit.
Sorry?
I have Keen Fit poles.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of those. They must be, are they a US brand?
They actually come from Canada.
Oh, okay, right.
My cousin, that's the ones that she has and her instructor had, and I kind of learned everything from them, but I'm learning more from this group.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be a problem. They shouldn't, on a good set of poles, your tips shouldn't wear down, really. So
okay, I just wasn't sure if I didn't want to be hurting them, and
no,
I also wanted to be sure I was doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll definitely get more friction with the spike than a rubber paw or basket, whatever you call them. So, and I don't tend to fiddle around with them on a walk either. I'll make a decision at the start of a walk, and this is what I tell my walkers. It's going to be mostly grass or mostly soft ground, so just go with your spikes. Or if you want to use paws on another walk, I might say, okay, it's 60% road, so you want to put your paws on. Not that I do, but if people like them, then yeah, I normally. So we don't sort of stop and put them on for a road section and take them off. We just take a view at the beginning of the walk. What is the best thing to do?
That's good to know, because actually about half the trails I use are paved. That's what they do in America. I've been to Europe a lot, and I really like the trails there. And then about half the trails I use, I drive someplace to a forest or a woods. Or you'd probably laugh because we're in Nebraska, and you'd laugh probably at what we call a forest, but it's a little forest. And, but anyway, so that's good to know that I can, when I'm, to make sure to take the tips off probably, or the boots off when I'm going into the non-paved roads
Yeah.
or trails.
Yeah. You'll definitely notice the difference if you do. So.
I love trails in Ireland. I go to Ireland fairly often, and I love the trails in
Ireland's
Ireland.
lovely. Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you, because this was good to hear.
You're welcome.
Terrific. We're glad you could drop in.
All right, Leroy, I also like the articles you publish sometimes, or that you refer to and you include.
Oh, good.
I do a lot of well, this year online workouts, but with it's a wellness center that's pretty cool, and they have a lot of different kinds of classes, and especially like one you did lately on strength. I
Right.
shared that with them, and then they shared it with people in the organization.
Yeah.
That you find some that I haven't seen before. That it's nice to see those.
Yeah, and it's important to try to be well-rounded in those sorts of things.
Well, especially like the strength one, I think that's really good information for people to know. I do a strength class, so of course I feel all smart about it. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for both of you for all you do.
It's something that we put into our Nordic walks as well. We do some strength training with some of our walks. So we'll walk for 20 minutes and then we stop and we do some squats and push-ups, etc. And then we carry on walking and then we stop a bit further on. So yeah, strength training, resistance training is really important too. Well done.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, I've got muscles I never knew I had before. I didn't know you could get muscles like right above your ankles on your legs. And, yeah, I agree. Well, I think I'll go, but thank you very much. It was good to see you.
You're very welcome. Lovely to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And Tracy, thank you very much for doing this. I think it was very helpful to the people who attended.
That's good. I'm glad. I hope so. I hope they take something away from it anyway. If it's just one thing, then that's good. So always happy to do another one, Leroy. I know you want to invite other people, and that's great. But if you want me to do another one, later on in the year or next year or whatever, then and I'll try and keep interacting with the Facebook page as well when we can. So
great. Well, thank you very much. You have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.
Bye.
Catch up with you. Thanks, Leroy. Bye.